Hi guys. Okay, I'm checking in for the gardening challenge. I am on YouTube for this check-in. So today is day 17. Yesterday, day 16, I worked on planning my shading system for the garden. And then it leads very nicely into today's, which is going over garden arches and vining plants. So you can see right here behind me, this is one of my garden arches that I have from last year. I loved having it. It was at a different spot and it's kind of like in a weird spot right now, but it will get good. And so I have a wonderful plan to combine garden arches and shades for my Arizona garden this year. So I'm gonna turn the camera just a tad. So these beds over here, these 8 beds, they are at a spot where they get so much direct sunlight. They get a lot of morning sun, midday and afternoon sun. And here in Arizona, as we head into the heat, it gets really, really hard for our plants to survive in the afternoon heat. So I have a plan. What I'm going to do is in here is I'm going to do some garden arches that go whoop in between both sets of beds, all the way down in between those back 4 and front 4. And I'm going to use the garden arches to provide shade to half of the beds. And it'll look pretty, right? And then the other side, so this side right here, it will be getting direct afternoon sun. And so I do have a plan for that. What I'm going to do for that is get those metal T-posts, the ones that are like 5-6 feet. And I'm just basically going to pound 1, 2, 3, 4 of them in along this side and get a garden shade and attach it to the T-post side, and then be able to attach it with like bungees or something, whatever I choose to do, to the garden arches that are right on the other side. And that will give some shade from the afternoon sun for these 4 beds. Now, over here, we have a narrow bed here that gets great afternoon sun. And then these ones, they don't get as much natural shade. And so I will probably do something very similar where I will do like a T-post, a T-post, a T-post, and a shade cloth, and rig it somehow up along our guest house roof right there and be able to have some shade built in. I like that because it doesn't have to be up all the time, and I don't have to necessarily put it up right now as it's March and the weather is amazing right now, and so I don't really need to do that. But I can plan this, and it's very cheap and easy, and I'm not having to like do a lot for the shade, and I love that. I've done 3 summers of gardening here in Arizona, and I have witnessed things live through the summer and things die in the summer. And so now I'm going to try this plan. So this shade area is going to be super easy to do. That shade area technically is super easy, though, with those 8 beds technically, but 4 sets, they will be easy once I have the garden arches in place. So 2 different options for the garden arches. I'm not going with this like cheap Amazon one that I did one year. It's totally fine, but it's definitely rusted and parts of it have broken off. But what I am thinking, either plan 1 is get one of those 16 feet wide hog panels with T-posts, and you basically put the T-posts in wherever along the bed, right? And then you take the hog panel and you secure it to the T-post, and you're bending it over, and you make your own garden arch. I have heard from so many people that this is like the most durable, the most aesthetically pleasing, that it just works really well for vining plants and vegetables and fruit, and like a lot of people love it. Here's my only holdback on that. We don't have a truck. We only have our big 12-passenger van, so I would have to figure out how to secure a 16-foot panel on the top of our van by myself, because Matt is not one for the projects, and that's fine. So I'd have to figure that out. And I don't know how strong my muscles are to like bend the cattle panels by myself. So that's one of the downfalls for that one. And then the other option is, I was just doing some Amazon searching, and there are absolutely what seem to be good options for people like me that don't have a handy husband that is going to be doing some muscle work or a truck to get the proper materials from like Tractor Supply. There are some kits to do some garden arches that I personally am wanting to do. Only downfall here is you can definitely tell just by the listing that it's not going to be durable. It probably won't last more than 1 year in the garden, and it will need to be replaced, just like this one is only a year old and it's pretty rusted. So those are my two options. I have, I think, till tomorrow to really make the decision on what I'm doing. And I believe it's tomorrow that I either have to go get a cattle panel by myself with my 7 kids and figure that out, or I can just order it off Amazon and go with that. So I gotta make the decision. Let me know in the comments if you're like, hey, I've done the cattle panel. It's not that hard. You could totally do it. Here's how you could rig it to the top of your van. Like, if you have those suggestions, tell me. I need to know. Or if you're like me and being like, Alex, I think you should just order on Amazon and go the easy route this year. Maybe next year Matt will be on board. Let me know in the comments as well. But I'm excited about that because I already kind of knew my plan for shades and garden arches because I made this ebook for you. And I planted accordingly on all these beds right here for vegetables and fruit that are vining, so that I already know that they're going to be supported. Plus, if you look at the challenge ebook for gardening, there's a section for a trellis garden that is going to have different stuff in it. Very similar though to the garden arches and having things that vine. The trellis garden is in this area that I'm looking right behind the camera over here. And we'll get to that when we get to it, but it's gonna be so good. So good. So also with the arches and stuff like that and vining plants, I love not only to do vining like fruits and vegetables, but flowers. Vining flowers are just so beautiful. I am a sucker for flower gardens. I would love a cut flower garden. That essentially means like a garden of flowers that you go out and cut and just bring bouquets into your house. Like, I've read books on like building bouquets and everything, and I just absolutely love it. So it is a dream of mine one day, but today is not that day. Vining flowers, I love morning glories. They are the sweetest. They're very easy to grow. They're not complicated. They are a tad bit sensitive to the heat I've found here in Arizona. So I wanted them on like this arch here, but this arch used to be partially shaded, and now I might have to figure out if I want to do morning glories on this, or if I want to do morning glories kind of in between on the other arches. So more research will be had. Let me know if you have a favorite vining flower specifically. If you are in Arizona or in 9B, the zone 9B for hardiness zone, let me know what your favorite vining flowers specifically are. They're not great for cutting, like for bouquets, but they're just beautiful on the eyes, and I absolutely love that. All right, so that is it today. I hope you're doing well on the gardening challenge. I will leave the garden challenge ebook link here in the description. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. I am leaning a little bit more into YouTube for the next 40 days with Lent. So I'm gonna see how that goes for me. And that's it. All right, bye guys.